What is going on, everyone? It's Ultimate Spy 53 here, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed number 138. And today, I'm going to be reviewing the movie Napoleon Dynamite. So what did I think of Napoleon Dynamite? This movie was great. I have seen this so many times that I just had to review it. So this movie was amazing in every way. It's one of the best comedy films ever, honestly. It's really good, and I just thought it was great for its time. And it totally deserves a sequel. I mean, I think they were like it was like a thing on the internet a while back where they were like saying, you know, Napoleon Dynamite 2, the freaking sequel, and it never happened, obviously. It was a joke. But it was still pretty funny. And this movie, because it's such a, I don't know, it was really well done for its time. I think it's set during the 90s, I want to say, because based on the technology, all that stuff, but just in general, I thought this movie was brilliant. It's so funny. I mean, seriously, it's one of the funniest movies I've seen. And the interesting thing about that, the reason why it's so funny, is because a lot of the lines that were in the movie, they became so funny that I believe there's an app that a company made, or just some guy who decided to take the best lines from the movie and convert it into a soundboard. It is freaking hilarious. It's so funny. It's actually, the movie is so popular, at least when it came out. It's still a really well-made movie. And because of that, basically the Napoleon Dynamite skin was featured in a game where you're playing around with this dummy, having fun, all that stuff. I don't know, I can't remember the game's name, but it's just great. And I love the lines in it. There's some really funny lines. I remember when I saw this movie, I remember that the line, "You guys are retarded," is one of the funniest lines in the entire movie, of many that I really liked from the movie itself, because there's some really great one-liners. But in the movie, there's a line where Napoleon basically just he just has had it with Rico and Kip, where they're watching this stupid video, and he's like, "You guys are retarded." You just leave it. It's the way he says it. I cracked up, and it's such a great line. I love that line, and a lot of lines that you hear in the movie become part of the Napoleon Dynamite soundboard. And it's so funny. I mean, seriously, a soundboard, a movie that came out in 2004. That's an independent movie that you know, people wanted to have a sequel. I mean, I wanted to have a sequel. I mean, I think the actor who played Pedro wanted to be, there's a sequel. I think they're talking about it, but I haven't heard anything more about it. It might be one of those things where it takes, 10 to 15 years to actually make a sequel, which can happen a lot. But I just thought this movie was brilliant in the way that the script was done, because the script was so brilliant. It was so funny, and when you have a script like that is just like, it's brilliant. I mean, it had a great soundtrack. It had some great music, and I don't know, I think it's definitely 90s or maybe some 80s music in there. I know that Kip looks like he's from the 70s or something like that, because he does. He looks like he has thick glasses and a mustache. I mean, yeah, but only also has thick glasses, but they're more like Stanley glasses kind of thing like that. But yeah, I gotta say that Napoleon had some of the funniest dialogue. He is just so funny, and there's some great scenes in it. The very first scene we see in the movie, where Napoleon brings his action figure, just like he decides to throw it out the window on a string, and he just lets it bounce away on the road. That is just the best ever. It's so funny. It's like, this kid's like, "What are you gonna do to Napoleon?" He's like, "What do I feel like? Gosh," and just tosses out his action figure and just starts, playing with it by letting it hit the ground while the bus is moving away. There's some great scenes in there. There's some great scenes, especially, Kip. He's like the weak guy who wants to fight, but he's just so weak and he's pathetic, and he's like, "Jeez, ouch." Like when Rex from Rex Kondo, he hits him, he's like, "Ouch." It's so funny. Like, the movie in general is a hilarious movie. It's literally the genre of comedy. It's so funny. This movie, I have enjoyed watching this movie every time, and it's so goddamn funny. It's just like amazing. Although one thing about the movie that made no sense, I didn't really think about it until I watched it a couple more times, was the fact that Napoleon doesn't really have any parents, or so it seemed. I mean, there's not really any context. It just we're introduced to him, or he lives with his grandma and his brother, and Rico, Uncle Rico is out there, but there's no context of where his parents are, so there's no context. There's no explanation. I don't know what happened, but I really can't answer that. But all I can say is that I wish they would have explained that, because I mean I didn't really think about it until after I watched the movie a couple more times. Like, wait, where's his parents? Does he got parents? Why he's this socially awkward 16-year-old? So who's looking after him besides his brother and grandma? I don't know. But I think the funny thing about Napoleon, and it's just the way his character is the fact that he likes to make up stories about his life, probably to make him sound cool, I guess, because he wants to be cool, all that stuff, and he gets bullied at school, all that stuff, and he just like he's like a whatever kind of does, like whatever. But my goodness, like I can a lot of the lines that are in the movie are in are in the soundboard, like I don't feel very good. That line is so funny. I'll have to link in the description of the soundboard. You can check it out. It's old. I don't know how old. I think it came out around when the movie was released. I have no idea if that's true or not, but it's a really funny movie. This movie, it's so funny. And I think one of the things about one of the characters, Deb, that makes her so unique and so special was that I think she was a better match for Napoleon than, like, say, Trisha was, because with Trisha, all she is this, beautiful girl that Napoleon hardly even knows, and looks through the yearbook and just like, oh, I'm gonna ask her out, and draws her a very bad picture. I mean, it's not that bad, but it's apparently bad to Trisha. I mean, I think it's described as a bad picture. So the idea is that he sends her a bad picture, and it's all she's just this beautiful girl that he hardly knows apparently. He knows her somewhat, but like hardly knows her, and asks her out basically by doing that, and she has to go because her mom makes her go basically. He then becomes an asshole by kind of like ditching her basically. But I feel like Deb and Napoleon would have been better off, because I mean I think that's the implied at the end of the movie, that they kind of maybe actually I think it's just like they're friends, because I've seen the Napoleon Dynamite series, the animated series, and I think they're just friends, but it's clear that Deb has a big crush on him. I don't know why, but probably because of that dance scene, but because they're so similar. Like they have quite a bit in common in terms of how similar they are. Like they're both artistic, so they're both shy and awkward, and clearly socially awkward. They have a hard time talking to each other. But like the very first time that the Deb meets Napoleon on his front porch, it's awkward. But you can clearly tell that she has a crush on him. Maybe like I think she like starts to warm up to him when she sees him drawing the Liger, which is the great original character. Actually, the Liger is actually do a pop up in the animated series. They only made 6 episodes of that, but it's still like set during the events of the movie. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty wild show, honestly. But the idea is that she has a crush on him in that moment, and then after crazy shit happens, she starts to have a crush on him again, after deciding the friendship isn't worth it, and after seeing him dance, which is my favorite scene by the way, she decides that he's actually pretty awesome, and she starts to have a thing for him. That's the idea. But I just felt like she's so special, and so I mean, she's obviously gorgeous. The actress is not only gorgeous, but the way she plays the character, that I just it's attractive. I love that character. She's one of my favorite characters, Deb. I just love her. I think she's amazing in that role. And I mean, she's beautiful, obviously, but she's just a very shy girl, and that's basically what Napoleon is, because he's very shy too. And that's like I feel like that's a way better match than that. There's also like Pedro, who's wanting to run for president, who's a Mexican exchange student kind of thing, transfer student, and he runs against Summer, and that's the kind of thing where it's like that when they run against each other, Napoleon like becomes instant friends with them, which is amazing. But also when they had to do that dance, you have Trisha, the girl he asked out, didn't work out very well. Obviously, he didn't really know her. Like, there's no context given. Like, oh, suddenly I'm gonna pick this girl to go out with me. It's okay. The idea is that Napoleon saves Pedro's campaign after he does a very unimpressive speech, and then he basically saves his ass by doing a dance number from LaFonda, who's the girlfriend of Kip, who he met online. It's like the idea is like, oh, he chases girls online all day. Basically, that's the idea. And so he gets his CD and he goes to the store and he buys a VHS that has like a dance thing on it, and then he learns from that, and that scene is my favorite because he's just awesome. He doesn't feel scared at all. He's just like he's totally got this, and that's why I like Napoleon so much. He's a great character, and he's just such a weird guy, you know. I don't know why. He's just so weird. But also that scene where he dances, that's one of the best of the entire movie. And that's where kind of I feel like that's where he redeemed himself because he didn't really I guess he didn't really ask to be friends with them again. Like he like, oh my gosh, she hates me now, but oh whatever, doesn't matter, I'll go home with my life. And then suddenly you know, without realizing it, that totally saves our friendship. In fact, it becomes more than that. Like it looks like you know, she starts to fall for him for real this time, which is amazing. Actually, I think I don't know if I think she just like she liked him, you know, as a friend earlier, and then in that moment, she actually started to take interest in him more than just a friend, which is really amazing. Because in the show, it kind of the idea of that is teased, I guess. I mean, I've seen the show, and it's only like 6 episodes, but it still further tells the story, and it's a very different show. Especially since it's animated, it's a very different show. When you take live action, you convert it to animation. It's weird, you know. It's just so different, and so I like that part of the movie. I love the dance, and it's just like it's awesome. It's a great dance, and Napoleon doesn't feel scared or nervous or anything like that. He's just like, oh my goodness, he's amazing in that. That was my favorite scene. But I want to talk about the things I didn't like about this movie, which was Uncle Rico. So I think it's pretty clear that Uncle Rico is supposed to be an asshole. Later, he actually does end up being an asshole. Like the idea is that he's supposed to be, and you know, you don't like him. I mean, I personally don't like him, especially when he takes his business a bit too far, where he gets close to Rex Kwon Do's wife, starts handing out these breast implant kind of thing idea. It's just like ugh, that's why I don't like Uncle Rico. He's one of my least favorite characters, and that's only one of the reasons why I didn't like the movie. Everything else was great, but that one character, I just didn't like him. I did not like him. He's just an asshole, and it proves to me he's this stupid guy that later he starts out as an asshole, and then later being beat up by Rex, and then without him really knowing it, his old girlfriend rides up on her bike, and I guess something's gonna happen there. Who knows? But I definitely enjoy this movie. It's a really funny movie. I mean, it's so funny that it got its own soundboard. I mean, that's just amazing. That's just for a movie to get a soundboard is insane. I mean, there's some movies all over the place that have soundboards like that, but like not a movie that has where every funny line is converted into a soundboard. That's I don't know how often that happens, but it's a great movie, and the soundtrack. I don't even know where it came from. You know, the where it's based off of. If it's for the night, if it's using the 90s or 80s songs, I have no idea. I mean, that was obviously shot in 2003 and came in 2004, but I don't know when the songs were based off of. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. But I still enjoyed the movie, and it was fantastic. I absolutely love this movie. 2004. It's just it's a cult. Not I don't know, but a classic. But it received a cult following because of that, and just because it's so funny and so you know unusual, very not a very common movie to get like an indie movie to get like this kind of this cult following. It's a great movie. I loved it. It proves that even when you're socially awkward, you can still find friends in the end. Like Napoleon was able to find two friends, one with a Mexican transfer student and another with this shy pretty girl, Deb, and that it worked out like that. It was just like yay! It was. I thought this movie was great. So I'm gonna leave this with a 9 out of 10. That's a pretty good score, I think. And I'm not gonna get a perfect score because it wasn't a perfect movie, but it was still a great movie. And I think I want to dog off one because Uncle Rico is just an asshole. I mean, seriously, he is. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. 9 out of 10. It was a solid movie. I really enjoyed it, and the soundtrack is solid too. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Reviewed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I really do appreciate support. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe for more episodes of this series and other series that I do, as well as other great content. And I'll be back next time with another episode. Alright? See ya.